A pleasant day to everyone. I'm Jeianha Trinidad and we are here to present to everyone our group's atomic model. But before that, here is Samantha De Guzman to give an introduction to our chosen model.
Thank you, Jeianha. So to give you guys an introduction, let's start from the person who first founded the model, Ernest Rutherford. So who is Ernest Rutherford? Ernest Rutherford is popularly regarded as the father of nuclear chemistry and physics. He discovered and named the atomic nucleus, the proton, the alpha and beta particles, and the neutron. He discovered nuclear half-lives and performed the first deliberate transformation of one element into another, fulfilling one of the alchemist's ancient passions. Now that we know who Ernest Rutherford is, how did the Rutherford model was formed?
In the early 20th century, physicist Ernest Rutherford and his colleagues conducted a series of experiments to investigate the atom by firing high-speed positively charged alpha particles at a thin piece of gold foil. Alpha particles were known from previous work in radioactivity, but scientists were still unsure if they were atom bits. The nuclei of helium atoms were later discovered to be alpha particles. Rutherford discovered that the majority of the alpha particles, bullets, passed through the gold foil as if it were empty space. Something very small and dense in the gold atoms diverted the occasional particle from its path. The Rutherford nuclear atom and the Rutherford planetary model were other names for the Rutherford atomic model. Rutherford described the atom in 1911 as having a tiny, dense, and positively charged core known as the nucleus. Rutherford discovered that the atom's mass is concentrated in its nucleus. Like planets revolving around the sun, light, negatively charged electrons circulated around this nucleus. Rutherford's model differed from Dalton's and Thomson's models in that he considered most of the atom to be empty space, whereas earlier models considered the atom to be solid. So, what is the importance of the Rutherford's model?
Rutherford model was the first to introduce the concept of an atomic nucleus. This novel idea accounted for the square distribution of electrical charges that was revealed in Rutherford's famous gold foil experiment. The Rutherford model and its immediate successor, the Bohr model, changed the conception of the atom for decades until quantum mechanics revolutionized atomic theory altogether. The model itself. The Rutherford atomic model has two main parts, the nucleus and the atom's remaining space occupied by electrons. According to the model, the nucleus is a very small portion of the atom's volume. It occupies a small space in the very center of the atom. Protons and neutrons make up the nucleus and define the atom's chemical properties. Rutherford also claimed in his model that electrons revolve around the nucleus in set orbits, like planets revolving around the sun. This part of the theory was inaccurate as explained in the last section. But what are the parts of this particular model?
Good question. The parts of the Rutherford's model are as follows. The nucleus. The nucleus is at the innermost core or center of the atom. It contains protons and neutrons, which are two types of subatomic particles. The protons. Protons are subatomic particles that have a positive charge. The strong nuclear force holds protons together in the nucleus of an atom. The neutron. A neutron is a subatomic particle found in every atom's nucleus except basic hydrogen. The term comes from the fact that the particle has no electrical charge. It is neutral. Lastly, the electrons. An electron is a negatively charged subatomic particle that can be attached or released from an atom. The nucleus is surrounded by electrons. Electrons are exceedingly little in comparison to the rest of the atom.
Oh, I see. Well explained. So now, we're in the exciting part, making our very own model of the Rutherford model. To make the model, we will be needing the following materials: styroballs, small sticks, popsicle sticks, poster paint, brush, glue gun, glue sticks, bond paper, and yarn. Now that we have all the materials to be used, let me explain to you the procedures to actually do it. The procedure for making this model is to first join the popsicle stick together using a glue gun. Then paint it black. Second, using glue sticks, glue together the popsicle to form an octagon and stand. Then assemble it, using the small stick for it to spin like a ferris wheel. Third, paint the styroballs using a paintbrush and poster paint with the colors blue for electron and red for the proton. Fourth, put the blue styroballs as a representative of the cabins in the ferris wheel. Then, put the yarn as an electron orbit. Then assemble a nucleus in the middle. Lastly, use the bond paper to put positive and negative to represent the protons and electrons. And we are finally done. But to give an in-depth look of our model, here's Jeianha to give you its features.
Here are the features of the model. 1. All of the positively charged material in an atom form a small dense center known as the atom's nucleus. The electrons were not a part of the nucleus. 2. The nucleus is absolutely tiny in comparison to the overall size of the atom. 3. The negatively charged electrons circulate in a well-defined orbits around the nucleus. 4. Electrons rotate more quickly in a set circular route around the nucleus. The orbit refers to a fixed circular course. And lastly, like this cabin revolving around the main axle, electrons move through empty space around the tiny positive nucleus.
This is Samantha De Guzman with Jeianha Trinidad on behalf of Daniah, Tubig, and Richmond Carrillo. This ends our presentation of our atomic model.
We appreciate you guys for tuning in. And as always, stay proton!